Hello, welcome to Mr. Paul's Pantry. I'm Mr. Paul and it's nice to see you all back here again. If you're a new visitor, a very warm welcome. Now today's recipe has been requested for quite a long time by many people. Unfortunately my to-do list now has got so long it's taking me a while to get round to them. It's called my everyday chocolate cake. Now, don't get me wrong, it is an everyday chocolate cake. It's not a special super duper chocoholic chocolate cake. It's an ordinary chocolate cake just for a change, okay? Now, you cannot change this recipe by adding melted chocolate to it. Please note, it will not work. This is just a plain, simple chocolate cake. And if you want to put melted chocolate into a cake, then you need to find a different recipe, because change one ingredient and all the other ingredients need adjusting accordingly. That's how baking works, I'm afraid. So here's the ingredients and let's do it. Right, here are the ingredients for the everyday or anytime chocolate cake. They are self-raising flour. If you only have plain flour, I have put in the recipe how much more baking powder you add to that to compensate. But I'm using self-raising flour, eggs, sugar, soft butter, it must be soft in this recipe, pinch of salt, baking powder, cocoa powder, and please note, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot use drinking chocolate in this recipe. Drinking chocolate is mostly sugar and milk powder and it won't work. This is cocoa powder and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So what I've done here with the two tins, these are 20 centimetre tins, 7 inches, and the recipe that I'm giving you on this video will fill both those. You split the mixture between the two and then we put one on top of the other and put the cream filling inside. And what I've done is I've cut 2 discs in the bottom there, just to cover the bases of them, and I've buttered around the sides. So now we've got the tins ready, we'll go over to the ingredients and get them into the mixer. So, we've got the ingredients now going into the mixer, and this is one of those recipes where everything goes in together. So first of all, we're going to put in the flour, followed by the sugar, followed by the cocoa powder. Now remember what I said earlier, you cannot use drinking chocolate for this. It has to be cocoa powder because drinking chocolate contains masses of sugar and powdered milk, so we don't want that. In goes a pinch of salt and the baking powder. I'm just going to give that a little mix just to incorporate the lot together. So the baking powder is not in one lump, and we're going to pop in now the butter and the eggs. So now we're going to put the mixer on a slow speed and incorporate all this. In the meantime, we should have had our oven set at 190, no fan. I don't use a fan. If you want to use a fan oven, you must check your instructions to see what to set it at, because fan ovens always run a little higher than the temperature you set them at. So we don't want to mix this too fast, we don't want to mix it for too long, because otherwise we'll develop the gluten in the flour and the cake will be tough, so we don't need that. Just have a look at it now. I'm using one of these beaters that scrape the bowl as it goes round, so you don't have to scrape it down. But if you're using a beater similar to this in your mixer, then you will need to stop and scrape it down and see how it goes. Now that's quite sufficient. We're going to take this now, the mixture, back to the bench and put it into the 2 tins. We're going to divide it between the 2 tins. Now what I've done here, I've added all the ingredients up in my recipe and got the weight of it all and divided it by 2. So I'm going to put equal quantities in these. These are now going to go into the oven at 190 for about 25 to 30 minutes. I should check them at about 25 minutes with a skewer and see if it comes out clean. But 25 to 30 minutes at 190. Now remember, I don't use a fan in my oven. If you want to use a fan oven, you'll need to set it at less than 190. I'm not quite sure what your oven works at. Look at the instructions, but it's usually about 20 degrees less. So we'll go in the oven with these and I'll see you when they're done. So here are the 2 cakes, both ready to fill. Now you can either fill it with jam first and then some cream. You can use fresh cream, you can use any kind of jam. I would normally, if I was using jam in this, I'd use some black cherry jam, something like that, and fresh cream. I haven't any fresh cream today. What I've done is I've made some buttercream, which is just icing sugar and butter beaten together with a little vanilla if you want to put it in. It's a nice soft consistency, as you can see, and the recipe for that is underneath the video. Don't worry, it's just the 2 ingredients. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some filling on here. Spread it around a little bit, not too near the edge because it'll squash out a little bit, but we want a nice coating of the filling here. And the second cake going gently on top like that. Push it down gently. There we are. That's it. Now if you want to sprinkle some icing sugar on there or some cocoa powder or whatever you want, you can do so. So I'll just grab a knife and we'll have a look inside it. Here we are. And there is our everyday chocolate cake. It's a nice cake with a nice buttercream filling. It's lovely and soft, spongy and not dry at all. So that's all we have time for today. If you'd like to have a go, feel free. If you have any suggestions, comments or questions, leave them underneath the video. I do read them all and I'll try to answer as many as I possibly can. So this is Mr. Paul saying bye for now and I'll see you next time. Bye!